Welcome back to RunThrough TV. It is Ben Sheppard here. Okay, let's get this out of the way. If you're not subscribed here on RunThrough TV yet, please get that done for us. And today's guest, well, let's meet him.
Hi, I'm Isaac. I'm 28. I've done quite a few adventures in my time, rowing across oceans, trail running for 3 or 4 days straight, ultra runs. I've rowed continuously on indoor row for 3 days in 11 hours non-stop without sleep. So I've done some ultra endurance and some out there adventures. I'm an energy transition analyst for a day job. So please, you can ask me questions about the energy industry and why bills are going up. And then the other thing is I'm a trustee for the mental health charity called Mind. And I have a lot of focus on mental health in sort of my adventures and what I do in the outdoors.
You've just heard from Isaac. He's done a fair bit when it comes to the adventure scene, but it wasn't always like that.
So first I was focused on just going through university and getting a degree, and I was very much, head in the books, head on the computer, head in tech, just trying to get the grades that I needed to become a geoscientist, which was what I wanted to do at the time, and just break into the energy industry. And at university, it got a lot of time indoors. It just brought me into this world where I was just not getting any time outdoors. I was probably looking malnourished from the sun, and it just didn't look healthy, and I wasn't healthy, and I started getting mental health problems. And then I started taking more breaks and doing more walks, just in forests and outdoor spaces. And that's when I had a realization that the outdoors and nature, it's not a want anymore for me. It was a need to balance with everything else that drives you into other goals, like these jobs that are now computer based. So I made a realization there that I needed to change things up. I needed a lifestyle that revolved around the outdoors.
Maybe you're feeling a little bit like that right now, needing to get outside and enjoy nature a little bit more. I certainly have in the past, so hopefully this conversation will inspire you to get started. Now, Isaac is here to talk about his Welsh Three Peaks run, but I couldn't have him on, an ocean rower, without asking him about, well, the obvious, rowing an ocean.
When someone asked me, would you like to row across the Atlantic Ocean with me? The immediate thing was a big stomach thing, like a grasp, like, whoa, this is big.
Yeah.
But then in my brain, the cogs were ticking, I was thinking, okay, so what do you need for that? You need sailing, you need rowing, you're out at sea for that long. And then you start kind of doing a little bit of research about it, and then you realize the benefits outweigh the negatives. That's how I saw it anyway. I saw it as an opportunity, one, to learn a hell of a lot. I saw it as a really big growth thing. And I also had quite a connection with my mate. He was quite a close mate of mine, and his mum had multiple sclerosis, and he said, I really wanted to do something big for her. And her multiple sclerosis actually came on that year, right, like properly. So I felt like, oh, do you know what? That would be a really nice thing to do as well.
It's probably obvious by now that Isaac loves the process. He loves trying new things. This year, that meant going back to running, and in true Isaac form, he decided to go pretty big. I'll let him explain.
It's called the Welsh Three Peak Challenge. So there's the 3 high peaks in Wales, Snowdon, Mount Snowdon in northern Snowdonia, Idris in southern Snowdonia, and then Penafan in the Brecon Beacons. So you're running from sort of north to south, and it was an unknown trail as well. So I wanted to kind of run my own route and not follow in the footsteps of someone else, sort of thing. So I'd create my own off-piste route between all the mountains, and then run it solo, and also run further than I've ever run before. And so there was a load of learnings there. And one of the reasons for doing so was when you are in a solo capacity, it very much translates very well to mental health, because in your own head, you're in a solo capacity. It's just you and your mind. And when sometimes you're in a team situation, you can kind of offload things to people and have that sort of therapy conversation. Now, what happens if you have to do it on your own? You're on your own. How do you deal with those mental health struggles when you don't have the therapy, you don't have the person to bounce off? So I found that it was a nice experiment to see if I could try some positive self-talk tools, some other tools that I've read about but never actually implemented, and just seeing what else I would come up with. There was hundreds of lows. I mean, I hit the wall about 10, 20 times.
Okay, as all runners, what we all love, some stats. So the route, about 240 kilometers long, around 8,500 meters of elevation gain. It's a lot of elevation gain. So how did Isaac feel with that in mind at the foothills of Snowdon?
Let's just go like break into 5Ks and 10Ks, very small, minute. I just thought, I will go as far as I can. So I did have that mindset of, as long as I don't get injured and I keep my nutrition, I should be pretty good to do this. Just plod along. I didn't push myself at any ridiculous pace. I didn't try to hold a pace. I just wanted to go and feel how my body felt, just run with the body. If I feel good, I'll continue running like this. But if I'm not, tight legs, whatever, or something like this, something needs to change, maybe slow down a bit, do some stretches. But I did mentally feel like I can do it. It's just how long will it take and managing the whole duration. Breaking
things down into 5 and 10Ks, I mean, it's a popular technique. You may have done it over a marathon or a half marathon, or even if you're running a 10K, splitting things down into 2 5Ks. But over 240 kilometers, that is quite something to do. So was that a technique that Isaac implored from the start?
It did feel like that, yeah. So it was that sort of technique. I mean, there was the big milestones. You touch the summit, that's a big milestone. You get to the bottom, that's another big milestone. And there were a lot of other little miniature mountains or sub-mountains between Snowdon and Cape Idris I had to go over. So they were like other little milestones as well, going over that one, going down that one. And then, yeah, in terms of distance, I was 10Ks were very much like, okay, 10K. That was really helpful, because I was running about sort of 70K a day, roughly 70-80K. So I knew that that's just 7 of those.
Just casual 7 10Ks a day. With these sorts of challenges though, there are going to be some darker moments. So how did Isaac cope with those?
So occasionally you'd hear people who did solo ocean rows where they would have this sort of split personality person for their entire row for 70 days. They would have the positive and the negative person, and it was always about the positive person beating the negative person sort of thing, and having discussions with themselves and just having conversations, rational discussions with themselves. That kind of happened a little bit on that run for me. I was having those sort of self-discussion, because before I would just talk to someone because they're in my team. So what do you think of this? But then I had to really do that a lot of myself, and then just talking out loud positive things. You can do it, you're not that far. Just saying it out loud, positive words out loud, was a lot more affirming than thinking it in the mind. I felt like it was louder than the negative if I said it out loud. Yeah. So I would say it out loud quite often. If anyone ran past me, they must be like, this guy's nuts. Yeah. Yeah. But it was working. It worked really well. So that was really, really, really useful. And then the other thing that I had tapped into on lots of other adventures was mindfulness, taking in where you were. I mean, there's not a better place in mid and North Wales and South Wales. To be honest, all of Wales pretty much. When you're in the countryside, you've got insane views everywhere, beautiful fauna and flora everywhere, and you can just slow down, listen, take it in. By that point, you forget the pain.
If you've ever done a personal running challenge, the finish line can often be very different to a race. There's no fanfare, no medal. So what was that like for Isaac at Pen y Fan?
Pen y Fan was very busy. There was a lot of people. So in some ways that at times it felt like a weird finish. I knew that none of these people were here for my finish. They were just on a Sunday stroll, Monday stroll, whatever it was when I finished. They were just chilling. And I remember just getting to the top and just screaming, yes, I did it, and being so happy, and just getting the weirdest looks, it's just Pen y Fan, mate. Not exactly the biggest thing in the world, and I looked so wrecked. Yeah. People he's just climbing Pen y Fan, is he? Look at him. And I do remember that was quite funny. And then when I got to the top, cameraman was like, oh, you've done it, okay, that's great. And then I was like, okay, I need to get off the mountain. So we just jogged down to the car park. There was an ice cream van. I just had an ice cream, and that was it.
Hey, finishing with a 99, it could be worse. Look, if you're watching this and you are thinking, I want to make the outdoors a bigger part of my life, how would Isaac advise you to do that?
It's very accessible, and I would say to anyone who really wants to get more involved is taking the first steps, whether that's a very short walk in the woods or something like that, which I was doing at university. I did start very small in terms of getting involved in nature, and then just building up from there. You might not have been like an athlete that I was in swimming, but you can still do things. Hill walking is very, very good, and then just starting very small. For instance, the ocean row, I took 3 years to get ready for, so it wasn't overnight. So if you do have a massive audacious goal like that, you give yourself time to build into it as well.
Legend. Big thank you to Isaac for coming on RunThrough TV. Do remember, pop this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to RunThrough TV as well. You can listen to the full conversation with Isaac by heading over to our channel now, where you can catch loads more interviews with amazing people as well. And do check out our Lady Bower highlights video as well. I went to run the Lady Bower 50K this year. You can check it out. It's here.